So this lesson goes over x-intercepts and how we can use polynomial functions to identify what those x-intercepts will be. So you can see here we've got A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I are points on the x-axis. They represent -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So again, the text is a little bit small just because I wanted to fit the whole question in the screen. But that's what's going on the x-axis. So again, this is the x-axis here. And then we want to know which points on the graph below would represent x-intercepts for this particular function right here. So the way that we'll do that is we'll do it in a couple of chunks. So the first chunk will be this green chunk here. And the first thing we want to do is we want to factor that. And if you remember our factoring, we are looking for let's see, x plus a times x plus b. We're looking for what two numbers multiply to give us this final term. And so that's going to be, let's see, when we do our FOIL, we've got x squared, which we've got here. And then we've got bx plus ax, which is this part here, FOIL. And then our final term is going to be a times b, so ab. So we need two numbers that will multiply to create this final term, which for us is -2. I got that from right here. And then we need these two terms here, the bx and the ax. So we need really b plus a to be equal to this -1 term here. So we're going for -1 and -2. And you remember that we used a graphic organizer to set this up. We said what number adds to -1 and multiplies to -2. And when we did that, we could see, well, -2, that's going to be -2 times 1. When I multiply those, -2 times 1 is -2, so that worked out. And when I add them, 1 minus 2 or -2 plus 1, I end up with -1, so that works out. So I'm able to create factors for this green equation that look like this. X plus 1, x minus 2. So now I have each of these, and I'm going to write them all out here. X plus 1 is my first factor. Then I've got x minus 2 is my second factor. Then I have x plus 3 is my third factor. And I have x minus 4 is my last factor. Each of these can be set to 0, which will identify what our x-axes are. So x plus 1 needs to equal 0. X minus 2 needs to equal 0. X plus 3 needs to equal 0. And x minus 4 needs to equal 0. And some of you, just by inspection, just by looking at it, can say, oh, well, what number plus 1 is 0? -1. So this one, the x value here is -1. The x value here is 2. And the x value here is -3. And the x value here is +4. So it's just the opposite of what your term is. So +1, -1, -2, +2, +3, -3, -4, +4. Then we'll go ahead and just identify where these occur. Well, -1's occurring, that's D. 2 is occurring, that's G. -3 is occurring, that's B. And 4 is occurring, that's I. So then I can just go here and I can check these boxes. All right, I want B, and I want D, and I want G, and I want I. So that's kind of the idea. We'll do a couple more examples, but that's kind of the basic idea of what's going on here. So we'll get some more space. So I'll go ahead and cross this out, and we'll create a new equation for this problem. Not the same one, but we'll create a new one. So we'll just say we've got x squared plus 2x minus 8. And then we've got x minus 2, x plus 1. So same process as before. we'll take this first quadratic and we'll factor it. We'll use our graphic organizer. We need this to add to 2, and we need it to multiply to -8. Well, that's going to be positive 4 times -2. When I multiply 4 times -2, I get -8. When I add 4 plus -2, or in other words, 4 minus 2, I get 2. So that works out, and now I have the factors x plus 4 and x minus 2. If I'm setting these equal to 0, -2 equal to 0, then I know that this will be -4, this will be 2, this will be 2 because these are the same factors, and this will be -1. So in this problem, I'll only have 3 solutions. I have -4, which is down here at A. I have 2 up here at G. I have 2 again. I'm not going to mark the answer twice, so I've got that answer. And then I have -1, which is down here at D. So I go ahead and say I've got A, I have D, and I have G. Let's do another one. So I've gone ahead and marked out this original problem that we've already done, and I've added in instead this new one, x squared plus 4x plus 3 times x plus 2 times x minus 2. Again, the first step is we'll go ahead and factor this quadratic, and we will use our graphic organizer to decide what value adds to 4 and multiplies to 3. Well, that's going to be 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. So both of those work. We have our factors x plus 3, x plus 1. And if we're thinking about setting these equal to 0 again, this is set equal to 0, 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 then we know that this will be -3, -1, -2, +2. And we can go through and we can identify B is -3, C is -2, D is -1, and G is +2, and we can go check those. B, C, D, and G. So I hope that's insightful. I hope that those 3 examples kind of give you an idea of where we're headed as far as factoring the quadratic, and then setting them equal to 0, and identifying what value makes them 0. And then, of course, the value is always the inverse of what we already have there, +3, then the value is a -3, etc. Good luck.